Mm-hmm. Are you comfortable, Chris?
I mean, how can I not be comfortable?
We are at an undisclosed location at the gym where we suddenly have furnishing.
Incredible. Like Aaron's fine furnishing. So
I know. So we get to stretch out.
I think this is real leather.
Leather?
No.
The real deal?
Yeah, this ain't none of that.
If I take a nap here, if I'm sweating, I'll know it's real.
Yeah, that's true too. I'll make sure to bring some conditioner for this.
So this is what? Not Monday. Usually it's a Monday.
It's usually a Monday.
It's Tuesday. Prior to class, we're going to record a quick podcast. And
it can
we
be
want
just as long as we
to...
need it to be.
Yeah, well, as much time as we have. We have a little less time than we usually do. But we'll do some shout-outs. So,
hang on, episode
61.
61.
And we're recording in 2021.
Yeah, man. First
I think this is the first
year.
I think it's the first recording we're doing in 2021. So super stoked about that. We're still here. The gym's still here. That's good. And we reached out a few, I don't know, episodes ago. Say, hey, I was looking at the analytics, and there are people listening all over the world. And if you if you engage with us, we will engage with you. So first things first, a more of a local guy, Cole, the woodworker.
Wengel.
You know Cole. Actually, you know Cole. I don't. I've only heard of him.
Cole. You know the legend.
I've heard a lot of good things. I've heard he's a very good grappler, but he seems to be an amazing woodworker.
Yeah.
And he has actually, I noticed, like a significant following
as well.
Significant following on YouTube. Like
he does good work, man.
He has subscribers, so he creates content. So this is cool.
And he's good at creating very good content. Like it's all good. It's top notch, man. So if you need, I was gonna have him make a belt rack for me.
Oh, that'd be badass.
But he was backed up, and he's like, "Bro, I won't be able to do this for like 6 months or something."
You gotta grease the palms, man. You gotta slide him a $10 bill. Be like,
no. Haven't you seen the meme of like, if you have a friend who's a realtor, then you pay full price and stuff because you got to support your family, dude.
Okay, fair enough. I thought you were going to start describing a pyramid scheme. Like if you know a friend, then you get that friend to help 3 other friends. And then they help 3 other friends. And it all works.
Always be selling the idea of selling or whatever the hell that is. How does that go?
So shout out to Cole.
Yeah, thank you, Cole.
And one of these days we will have you on the podcast.
Yes, one of these days when you're not making a knife or a bench or not my belt rack, we'll have you on here.
For sure. And also on that note, speaking of Cole, one of Cole's pupils, David.
Yeah, that's a good word, pupil.
Yeah. David, back this week.
Yeah.
An avid listener of the podcast, which always surprises me.
Why does it surprise you?
Because it always surprises me when people know things from the podcast when I haven't seen them. So it's like, how did you know all this? Because I forget that there's this other avenue, this other channel, which is a podcast for them to be caught up on stuff.
Yeah.
And for him, before the holidays, he had to kind of go away for a bit.
What the hell?
And then he came back, and just like he did before, he's listening to the podcast, and it keeps him connected to the gym.
That's exactly what he said. So
it's
post.
awesome. It's awesome.
So during, I guess not. During COVID, right?
Yeah,
all that when the gym was shut down, all that good stuff, and you and I had still recorded a little bit via Skype and this and that, and I think he got onto the backlog of our podcast then, and after COVID was over, and he had come back to the gym and stuff, and we were up and running again, and he like personally thanked me. One day after class, he's like, I got to thank you guys. Like, cause he's a sweet kid, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the most.
I mean, he's not a kid.
Anybody basically at this point when I'm damn near 40, I call everybody a kid. But he was like, man, like I really got to thank you guys. Like, like you guys kind of like made me, like me listening to your stuff made me kind of still stay connected to the gym. Like you said, like just the ambiance of it, like this fucking kid screaming in the background and stuff. So. That's like, hey, here we are saving
kids
lives.
Screaming in the background. Yeah, exactly.
Saving lives, Noah.
Exactly.
Keeping people sane.
So, and then the final shout out I wanted to give is to a gentleman across the pond in Europe, out of Germany. He answered the call. he's listening to the podcast in Germany, and his name is Felix. And he started listening to our podcast because of Preet, because he, I guess, is aware of Preet, and he
You come
started
for the
listening
Preet.
to
You stay for the Chris and Noah.
Exactly. But it was cool, and he kind of gave us a little backstory on what he does and his situation, and he's digging our content, which blows my mind.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, like,
So
and after you chatted with him a little bit, I furthered our conversation because of our pretty lengthy conversation about skill development and all that.
I know if
last
you
time.
message our Instagram, sometimes you'll get Noah, sometimes you'll get Chris.
Yeah, so I made
You
sure
never
to let him know. Like if it's super enthusiastic and like friendly, it's Noah, and if it's like some lengthy explanation, it's generally me. So I had to identify myself to him. But yeah, he definitely. I mean, he gave me a lot of input and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is stuff that I'm going to actually use a different perspective to implement when I kind of teach in the mornings.
Yeah, and
now,
it sounds like, you know, he has an opportunity to instruct, and he gave kind of his thoughts on our most recent podcast in terms of
which was excellent. And I think he consolidated both of our thoughts from the last podcast. And
I mean, yeah, we're coming up with this shit on the fly.
yeah,
We're like, hey, we're the first ones to think of this, Chris. This is amazing.
and he's like, yeah, this is what we do. I'm like, oh well, thanks, John Danaher.
Yeah. So
Right.
awesome. It's super cool to hear from our listeners.
And thank you.
Yeah, and
Above all, thank you.
absolutely, thank you. And if you reach out to us, we'll do our best to return the favor and reply to you guys and give you a shout out, because when we hear stories like this of people from all over the world listening, it kind of blows my mind, at least.
Yeah.
You know, but it shows you how cool the jiu-jitsu community is, and how, in a way, you know, obviously we're spread across the world, but it's still a small community, like
And
most
we all-
communities in the end of the
it's
day.
that we all sort of have the same like thoughts and ideas, right? Like it's just it's sort of like the whole thing of like when an instructor asks the class, anybody have any questions? Nobody ever actually speaks up, but everybody's actually asking. They're all thinking the same questions, right?
Yeah.
So it's cool that like it even happens across like the pond, like as you
Sure.
put it. So guys, if you also have any topics you want us to discuss at random, because
Absolutely.
we will.
We will
anything.
gladly indulge.
Oh yeah, so
We're here to please.
our two expert opinions.
We're here. We're all about fan service. We saw Marvel did it well. We'll do it equally well.
Yeah.
With the fan service.
DC.
Yeah.
You know.
Although he brought up an excellent point. I believe it was him. If it was someone else, let me look it up. It was about the DC thing and how we rated the DC movies.
Oh.
And
Oh,
the comment
I must have
was,
missed that.
And the comment was, well, what about The Dark Knight? And I said, that's a great point.
That's the Nolan verse.
But we were considering the DC
EU, yes,
which is this new, basically their MCU version. Which
that's
is,
the Snyder
starts
verse.
with with Man of Steel, and continues with all the other movies
through
in that canon.
through WW84.
No, I take that back. Alejandro,
shout out to Alejandro.
tricycle mishap on Instagram. Curious, but in regards to your ranking of the best 5 movies, how is it possible you two didn't even mention The Dark Knight or even Joker? And then he gave us a frowny face, which is completely legit in the way we phrased it. 'Cause I don't think we necessarily might have like phrased it clearly. We were in the DCEU, and I specified that. You know.
Yeah.
All that aside, that was an enjoyable and thought-provoking episode, and we got the shaka. Thumbs up, the shaka.
Okay, so that's a true.
So I had
jiu-jitsu.
to clarify, because and I even said it as like, you know, we didn't consider the Nolan trilogy, the Keaton Batmans, or Joker, and I put out there. I said on behalf of both of us, I would rate The Dark Knight, the second Nolan one, as the best one.
Yeah, that's
So absolutely. We were looking strictly at those new
at Marvel or at DC's attempt to create the MCU.
So
DC's completely inorganic attempt
yeah.
to create the MCU.
You could tell that they were like, damn, they got to Avengers. We need to quickly get to our Avengers, and they accelerated the shit out of it.
So what a skip over
So
all the actual
so what
lead-up.
we're gonna do is we're just gonna show icons on a computer screen and be like, ooh.
Off of
And
a
who
flash.
designed those icons? Lex Luthor already was branding these mutants or things like these
Metas.
Metas. I'm sorry.
Metas, no. Mutants. We get
We get the idea. People
Marvel
with
can't even use
exceptional
that.
Powerful.
But
So anyway, it's thank you for reaching. Thank you for listening. Engage us. We're gonna give you a shout out. We want to learn about where you guys are listening, where the guys and gals out there listening to BJJ and Brews. It warms our heart, and you know, as things actually come lifting. I know I'm a traveler. I would actually, and I say this with all sincerity, would maybe like to drop into some of these gyms where these people are training and say hi in the future. So maybe later this year in 2021, it's kind of our own little globetrotter.
yeah, but everybody's like,
I know.
so like
right now, no.
Floridians
But
right now, especially.
Yeah, but once things have cooled down. So that's kind of, yeah. That's. I'm thinking of a story, but I'm not gonna. I gotta. Things need to cool down first, and that's an offline.
For a lot.
That's an offline.
Yeah.
That's an offline conversation. So, Chris, this past week, it's ironic. If we had recorded a few days ago, I would have been totally in the dumps. I feel and only recently it's changed, so you'll get the whole gamut here. I felt like I was in a rut.
Oh no.
A jiu-jitsu rut.
Wait, didn't you just like compete in Masters Worlds?
Well, I did, and I didn't.
You're like, I'm aimless now.
No,
I don't know what to do.
I was disappointed with the result, and then I started grappling again, and I felt like I was in a rut. I just didn't feel like I was progressing at the same rate that I'm used to progressing. I felt like I was almost going backwards in a way.
The blue belt blues.
Yeah, the blue belt. Yeah, something like that. It was a combination of my performance and roles, and also the fact that when we went to a holiday schedule, I was not able to train as much as I normally do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that combination of things kind of affected me. But I mean, just, you know, people know me. I'm pretty upbeat about stuff. I'm like, trust the process. But I was pretty like, what the fuck, man? It's like I was like, I have a kind of a sense of my velocity, right? And if you think of a graph, like, okay, what's the slope of that line? And I felt like that line was just flat. Now, I wasn't going down.
So this was last week?
I'd say the past, like, 14 to 15 days.
Oh, so, like, just the holiday schedule.
Yeah, basically after Masters Worlds, kind of. Like, I came back, and then it was just very kind of ho-hum. And, you know, there's some things I wanted to work on. I mean, I was excited to work on new things, and wanted to work on lapel guard. And I don't know, the last few days, because we're back on a new schedule, I'm training like at least 2 hours a day. I think I'm getting the endorphins again, but I don't know. It's like, just use this for anyone listening that's in a rut, especially in the earlier belts. What is it? It's darkest before the
darkest before the dawn.
Yeah, something like that. It's like you go through ups and downs, and I felt like I was kind of in a rut and spinning my wheels a little bit, and now I don't.
Do you think that happens to white belts? Or do you think that information is always so new that it's like everything's constantly fresh?
I mean, I've heard people at all levels complain about, you know, I think they're different reasons. You know what I mean?
Holy shit, I totally forgot that dog was there.
Oh, yeah, no, Jerry was sitting in my lap the whole time. And Jerry just left. The minute he had a chance to leave.
No goodbye.
I know. He was cuddling with me. I was going to take a cute picture. So I had one of the gym dogs, Jerry, sitting in my lap while I was recording. And he abandoned me.
The tribe dogs, you mean?
I know, tribe dogs. At tribe dogs, if that account's still active right now.
It is.
It is? Nobody manages.
I don't think
it's not being active.
Definitely not active by any means.
Yeah.
They don't engage with their listeners at all.
So I would say a couple kind of things that did help was I did have a realization about being realistic about my training goals given the gym I'm at. And let me elaborate on that because it sounds kind of funky the way I said that. I really want to work on lapel guard. And yes, if I do a new thing, I should expect to fail a lot at the beginning and then get my guard passed. And, you know, and that's going to be frustrating. And that's going to be an ego reset, you know, because if I do what I've been practicing and getting better at, great. But if I want to really broaden my game, I have to go back to to zero with something new and go through the growing pains. But on top of that, our gym has a high number of grapplers, especially the colored belts, at least right now, that pass on their knees, which is really not what lapel guard is designed for.
Right.
Now, Keenan and some lapel wizards might argue like, oh, there are ways to get into it. You reverse, Polish worm rider. You don't need to know what that position is, but that's a counter to that.
That sounds like something.
Yeah.
A little bit.
But at the end of the day, a lot of them will also say, just go to closed guard, if they're doing that. So what I had to reconcile was I can't force lapel guard in a scenario where everyone's just on their knees. I have to do...
So force them to stand?
No, I don't force them to stand. I need to...
Funnel to standing somehow.
Stand up.
Like,
I needed to just accept the fact that, hey, this is an opportunity to practice another open guard, another distance guard. So now I'm working 2-on-1s. I'm working getting a foot into the armpit and grabbing a foot and dealing with that. So recognizing that I can't, there are certain things that I can't necessarily funnel. And then the other thing was just once that came into place, then I'm back in a situation where with 90% of the time when I'm rolling, I have maybe 3 to 5 things that are in my mind that I want to practice, and I can apply one or more of those in any roll, and that's good. And now I feel happy because I feel like I'm progressing in reps in those directions. And before, I felt like I was forcing one thing when I needed to really practice something else. And as a result, I was just holding on to this limp lapel. Both guys are on their knees. Mike Seaby passes my guard, smashes me, and now, by the way, he's working out now, so he's put on 10 pounds, so he feels heavier.
He felt heavy before, but anyway,
So anyway, just as a cautionary tale to people out there, you can have ruts, you can have stuff, and just push through it.
Did you listen to the Gordon Ryan championship mindset to have that realization?
So Gordon's full of shit, man. Like, and I'll say that to Gordon. I was like, Gordon, here's what Gordon's doing. Gordon is leveraging his immense skill and notoriety and internet personality to make money. More power to him. He should be doing
He's
that.
very good at that, too.
He should do that. But he is really, that championship mindset thing is really going beyond his skill set and wheelhouse. And as a result, if you just kind of listen to it, I think he's kind of full of shit. Like, he's trying to put on a role that he's really not suited for. He's trying to be a sports psychologist and a sports, motivator, when in fact his experience in athletics and sports is way more limited to a much of other athletes. He is a jiu-jitsu nerd at heart that is doing a bad boy mentality, a bad boy image to help sell, and that's good. I mean, he's more power to him.
It's working,
And if he came over, if he's selling and making money. I did listen. I listened to the preview thing on YouTube that he was talking to, and he was sitting there just kind of listing off how do you deal with injuries, and he just listed off all the injuries he had, and didn't really say anything. And that's the point I'm trying. That's the only thing. How do I say?
His is a lot of the what, but not the why. Or
what I'm saying is, I think he even himself is kind of trying to stretch what content he's able to produce, because he doesn't have much content to offer in this realm. So he's just like, you could say I've had countless injuries. You don't have to list individually every single one. That's me thinking. You're in your mind racing. What the fuck do I say next?
There's a thing called filler.
Exactly,
right?
and that's what it is. So, and I'm being intentionally like like confrontational here just because I feel like that,
Yeah.
you know, because maybe one day Jiu-Jitsu Times will be like, this podcast no one's ever heard of calls out Gordon Ryan.
Yeah,
because if Gordon responds, guess what? That gets us hits. So in a way,
That's right. Stay in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, so we'll do the same thing.
It's like-
I mean, if fucking Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp can do all this stuff, you know, in the morning, it's the same sort of thing. So
I will say that though, his MAGA post of like, he's like, oh, I forgot to tell everybody I was in DC, and it's like he posted the picture of the QAnon shaman. I'm like, man, that actually does kind of look like Gordon Ryan.
Really?
Yeah, like the dude with the buffalo thing on. I thought it was pretty funny.
More power to Gordon. You know, I hope he continues to have a great career. So here,
so that wasn't what made you. That wasn't what triggered you to get you out of that rut, though. Oh.
No, I did. I didn't listen to Gordon.
You didn't listen to that, and you were like,
yeah,
my championship mindset's back in place. Seize the day.
I think it's a combination of just being able to train more and recognizing a fallacy in my approach for what I wanted to work on, and then addressing that. Like, you got to be pragmatic too.
So,
it's like,
so that said, how are you going to improve your lapel guard if that's what you want to focus on at some point?
Because the people that do stand to pass, meaning they stand up to pass, I have an opportunity to work that. I also recognize that everyone starts with the lapel in their belt, and it is its own little game of how to get the lapel free.
Yeah.
If you just like reach forward for the lapel, you know, Paul's just going to grab my arms and pass my guard.
Yeah.
You know, so it's given me an opportunity to work De La Riva some more. I really want to work De La Riva. Was very fascinated with what JT Torres has been showing in his De La Riva X instructional on Jiu-Jitsu X. So all the preview content, the free stuff was available. You know, I kind of checked that out and got a sense. And it's similar to stuff Paul's taught. And I think it's it blends well with the guards I currently know how to play. And it's a way for me to get more distance. So if I go to, not that I'm trying to pull half guard anymore, but if I'm in half guard and, you know, they want to disengage a little bit, I can go to reverse De La Riva, and now I'm going to make the effort to now go from reverse De La Riva now to De La Riva and continue to make more distance and look for that De La Riva X position, because it's something I like, and I think it's something that I don't quite know the nuances enough, because people just break out of it pretty easily. And I don't think it's because my legs are short and their legs are long. I think they're, you know,
it's just
structural
execution.
things
Yeah.
I could be doing better.
Right.
So, and I think that's a cool position and something that I think would fit nicely into my game. And then, of course, you know, work my passing more and just commit to forcing a type of pass and then get good at that. And it's kind of boring already, I've realized.
What's that?
Like, I'm forcing over-under passes. And it's kind of boring. But I guess that's how you pass. Like, I think my problem was I was just stalling. Like, not stalling. I was just reactive. I was playing, like, my guard mentality is reactive a lot. You know, there's a lot of if this, then that.
Yeah.
Whereas, and not that to say there are moments where you don't, like, you do attack from guards, absolutely. But there is a lot more reactive stuff, I find, at least for me right now. When it comes to passing the guard, being reactive is death, because the guard player gets grips and sets up.
Yeah.
So you almost have to, like, I have to turn up my schizo a little bit
When you're passing.
When I'm passing,
Yeah.
and when I do that, like, I'm okay at doing the over-under pass. I just never force it. It's always been an opportunistic, like, oh, I swept from deep half, I come to an over-under position. But I've never just been like, I'm going to literally just try to force my head into that position. And then when I started watching guard passes, I was like, they look a little schizo. But what they're able to do is schizo force one pass, and then when they get resistance, transition to another pass.
Because they're forcing
they're blending
the reaction.
passes that over time break
commit.
down the reaction or the ability for their opponent to react.
Yeah.
So it's a different mindset. So I need to
You're
be a little more
forcing
careless.
your person into a defensive cycle, you might say.
Or you have to have the tempo in Keenan's. You have to be aggressive. So I was a little down on myself after Worlds because I was like, man, I don't know shit about passing. And then I had to remind myself, like, I don't have much experience passing, But I do know passes.
Yeah.
Just commit to doing them and see what happens, So again, most of the people at our gym prefer top. So as a person in my shoes, I can much more easily play guard.
Yeah.
Playing top, now you're a lot of times you might just be in that situation where we're both in combat base, just like pushing each other,
But who has active toes?
Yeah, exactly. Who has seal feet?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have seal feet. They're going over.
But I think, as people are coming back, I have more opportunity with different training partners and different looks. David's back, and David and I are, David provides much different looks from what our gym generally creates.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good. So I'm my update is I'm feeling better. I was
and
kind
she
of
goes
in the
back
dumps.
too. I saw that.
She goes back. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Driving a brand new truck.
Really?
Big ass truck. He's like, I don't know why I wasn't driving it sooner. He's like, I love this. I can do everything I want with this. And he's driving a nice sedan before, like a fancy car, like a luxury car. And now he's got a big old truck. Showing up in flannel.
Oh man,
I know.
Go
Lawyer by day, hauling shit by night.
Yeah, like he's a moonlighting as a lumberjack and a mover and,
exactly.
and whatnot.
So what about you?
I will say, so I've been off a week now. Today's my first day back to the gym.
Even though I got Muay Thai gear right now.
Yeah, I'm doing kickboxing, or I should say Muay Thai, right?
Muay Thai. It's not kickboxing.
I always say kickboxing for some reason. I think it's just because I'm tired of explaining. It's just as I'm tired of explaining what Jiu-Jitsu is to people. I'm tired of explaining what Muay Thai is to people.
You just say kickboxing, like, oh,
okay, yeah, oh yeah, So I'll be doing kickboxing today just because it's Tuesday at 6 and I gotta be home by a certain time. And I was teaching Connor how to ride a scooter yesterday, so. But I tell you what, man, I didn't realize until I just took a straight up week off of doing absolutely nothing. First off, I was antsy and crazy as shit. But also, like, I didn't realize how much pain my body was in all the time. Like, literally waking up sore and annoying pains. Like, bro, that shoulder thing that Tristan did to me,
disappeared.
I'm still going to call you out on that, Tristan. Gone. Literally gone. I mean, the numbness in my fingers still exists, but, like, I'm not waking up in the middle of the night, like, with my arm in a weird position because my subconscious is trying to avoid a painful position for my shoulder. Like, it's really kind of refreshing. Strange. So I feel good. I feel, I hit the bag on Friday, and I lifted Saturday, Sunday, and yesterday. And here I am today to kickbox some more.
I mean, as hard as it is for guys like us to admit that I think are to some level addicted to very frequent and regular exercise of some form. When we have a week or 2 weeks completely off, like if I go visit my parents in Maine.
Do you not do anything when you do it?
I mean, I'm an active person, but I don't have access to weights. I don't have access to jiu-jitsu. I'm just
doing... But your body's your gym, Noah.
Yeah, but I'm doing chores around that. Like I'm active like a normal. I'm active in a totally different way, but not nearly as strenuous a way.
Yeah.
It's amazing how good that is for my body in terms of little aches and pains just going away.
Yeah, because remember, you don't grow at the gym. You grow in bed and you grow at the dinner table.
So as much as we kind of hate to admit that, I have to begrudgingly admit that that's useful. So
that's interesting too, because like you're very good at. You're very attuned with your body, where I feel as though you rest when you need to. You're very good at like properly nourishing your body and stuff, and you still get the aches and pains. And
well, I mean, this is what deloading is, you know. But even in terms of see, I don't think we're capable of deloading in jiu-jitsu
because we don't have like a season, right? And
well, I mean, we would need to have the vehement discipline to spend, let's say, a week or 10 days doing light drilling when we come to class. And there's just the pull of being able to roll.
Yeah, that's just
so that I think that comes up. So, and also, I mean, people might you might overlook this or disregard it as poppycock, but even having a mental break from jiu-jitsu. Just to not, Like what I'm saying is, it's good to. I think it's hard to take a break if you're still in your same routine that involves jiu-jitsu or whatever training you're doing.
True, because
But if you just spent like that time you spent in the cabin recently.
Oh yeah, like
that's the kind of thing you need a change of. And I'm sure psychologists or doctors will probably say, oh, there's evidence to support this. Like
because
you need it. This is why a vacation is called a vacation. Yeah, this is why vacation is important. But to literally just to take a break from the wear and tear that comes from intense training from jiu-jitsu does wonders, and then you come back refreshed, and very quickly you're amazed at how quickly, like a couple hard days of training, you're back to like like, okay, there's effort here, you know. So what is it, like maybe our testosterone levels are just like it's
peaking.
It's like it's like our testosterone's used to like going up and then just getting killed by all these workouts, and then going up and getting killed, and then there's no workout, and then just is that how
works?
testosterone?
Like,
I don't think it works that way.
I'm not like a
let's not call it testosterone.
Endocrinologist.
Let's just call it this our internal drive, whatever. It's like
toxic masculinity. So toxic.
Hey man, it's all about peacocking and impressing the non-existent females on the mat, right?
Man, so I learned something in my little break, because I typically don't binge watch things, as you know, because it takes me so long to watch anything.
Did you finally watch The Mandalorian second season?
No.
You fucker.
I'm like 4 episodes in.
Dude, you had a vasectomy and you were literally laid up.
I first off, I read a ton of comics, which was great.
Okay, so all right, so I have a comics question, because you posted something on Facebook, and I do want to talk about that, but I know some of our we go off on these tangents and people are like,
and they're fun. Whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, we got more feedback about The Dark Knight than Jiu-Jitsu. So.
This is what we talk about on the mats after class sometimes.
Exactly. Hey, it's Black Mirror that brought us together in the first place. So
that's
when's that shit gonna come back up?
Another choose your own adventure where you chop up your neighbor after.
Well, there's gonna be a DC animated movie that's gonna do that.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's retelling the story of when the Joker killed Jason Todd.
Oh
yeah,
under the Red Hood.
No, like the 1980.
Oh okay.
What is it? A Death in the Family.
Okay,
so that'd be cool.
All right, so what were you gonna say, and then I'll give you my question.
Oh, I did a lot of comic reading, and of course I watched. And I realized this after the fact, because I pissed off so many of my friends, because Cobra Kai dropped, season 3 dropped on New Year's Day.
Then you did the spoiler.
Yeah, and I put the spoiler alert after the actual spoiler. I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of fucked that up, didn't I? So, sorry guys. It didn't really spoil that much though. I mean, like in the.
I didn't know she was in the. It never connected with me that actress was in the original.
Really?
Yeah, because that was before she had gotten famous. I felt like.
That's true. Yeah.
Like when she came into my radar when she was in The Saint with Val Kilmer.
Oh my God, that's like late 90s?
Yeah, that's when she came on the scene.
God, what obscure movie trivia.
Yeah.
Like The Saint with Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
I didn't realize she was in that. I always picture her as a
yeah. If anyone, don't Val Kilmer's not in a good way right now. So
oh man, it's
rough,
dude.
If be thankful for your health, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, you showed me that the cameo thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
Not good.
He's still making movies. Weird though. Like,
hey, more
good
power
for him.
to
I mean,
him.
hey, he's good.
I hope he's happy.
But yeah. So I fucked that up. But I still didn't.
So I watched the first episode of Cobra Kai. Like I was okay. What's all
like season 1?
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched the first episode, and it felt too much like it was made in the Valley. It was made in like Hollywood, and
it
didn't feel gritty enough. It felt way too like, let's show this to a focus group, and let's make sure it checks all the boxes. Now maybe that's just because it's an early episode, and I think there's even a website that says how many episodes do I need to watch before I'm in the show.
There's a website devoted to that.
I think
for all shows or just this show?
No, for all shows. Like because there's an issue. Like do I binge watch? Do I commit?
Yeah.
How many hours to something? And then you go to the website and they say, based on our it's crowdsourced.
Yeah.
Based on what we think, you need to watch episodes 1, 2, 3
what do you think it is for Game of Thrones?
I think Game of Thrones is just like 1 or 2 episodes.
Bro, I couldn't make it through the first. I made it to the second to last episode of the first season, and Stacey and I are like, we're fucking out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like,
see, I thought after the first episode, I felt pretty
hooked.
hooked.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because
you want to talk about a show that got so much hype that looked like it was
you.
made up on a set? I was
the
like,
budget did go up significantly.
Did
but
it?
it doesn't matter.
It looked
because,
like hell.
No, because at the beginning,
season,
no, but even still, the first season encompasses kind of what the show is. You know, it does get, as it went over, it became more action-y.
Yeah, but because I'm coming off of like 4 seasons of Spartacus, right?
Oh,
so like I go from that,
Spartacus.
and my buddy's like, "You gotta watch this shit." And I'm watching.
Did you watch Spartacus with Stacey?
Oh yeah, she loves the show.
She loves all the.
She loved that show, dude.
Spartacus, blood and sand, and all that.
Oh yeah,
with the nudity and nudity and.
Okay, so like.
I mean, there was sex. I mean, like pouring wine over bodies.
Oh yeah. Like I mean,
shout out to Lucy,
them New Zealanders are crazy.
Shout out to Xena Warrior Princess for coming
maintaining
back.
that physique. No, like so, like when I first got into it, I'd bought the DVD set or Blu-ray set or was, and like I was sitting there just watching it one day, and like Stacey comes up and she's like, "What the hell are you watching on TV?" I'm like, "I'm telling you, this is a great show. I'm like, this is not pornography."
I mean, they're pornographic scenes. There are
art.
No, it's called glamour, erotica.
It moves the story forward. Noah.
Yeah,
it was a
right.
true reflection of the times. But I was like, I just watch one episode with me. I guarantee you. And we were in, and like the amount of backstabbery and stuff, like with excellent sex and action. Like she was in. We watched all 4 seasons. I've seen it twice through.
Did you guys like make ravishing love after every episode? Because I feel like
we do have a son, don't we?
And that's how Connor was.
Yeah.
I feel like that show. Like I watched that show because of a roommate in grad school, and it was the most like
it basically
macho. I mean, it is its own retelling of.
And it's actually, according to Danielle the what is it? History on Fire. He said that that's actually the best Hollywood adaptation of the Spartacus myth.
Okay.
Like the way they handled it and stuff, and even all the goofy battles like between this guy and that guy. Like he's like, dude, that stuff's spot on.
But I just felt like
I was learning.
Yeah, but this clearly was made for an 18 to 35 audience of males.
I was well under 35 at the time.
There we go.
It was but so I went from that to Game of Thrones. I'm like, where's the dudes eating grapes off of women's parts?
Yeah.
And where's the arms getting hacked and flying into the crowd?
They sure didn't go far enough. They didn't go far enough.
So I guess Spartacus was, I guess it's like porn, gore porn.
Oh yeah.
Like action porn. Like it's yeah, it was good. So
but there are a lot of good actors in that.
Hell yeah, man.
And the supporting role. Dude, there's a tragedy behind the main character.
Like that guy, the
trainer.
Yeah, no, the owner of the Ludus,
mm-hmm.
the little like nerdly, British dude. That dude was, little scumbag.
So sympathetic
scumbag.
If you wanna, this is a great test for if you're a male and you're in a relationship. This is a good test. Put it on and see how your significant other reacts. If she gets into it, maybe this might help spark a little more passion.
But dude, because there's just as much like dude nudity in there as
there's nudity.
Yeah, nudity. So like there's
everything.
Yeah, like,
everything,
like
every color, every option.
So I mean, like, hey, this was like there's no Me Too involved in this at all. There's just like all kinds of just craziness.
If you watch 300 and was like.
We need more of that.
300 is tame. Watch Spartacus.
And
Spartacus will go. We'll take it a step.
So I'm curious. So what was the Cobra Kai rating on that?
I didn't look that up. I want to look that up because I watched the first episode and I was like, really meh.
Really?
Very meh. And I started watching the second episode and it was just, again, there's certain shows and movies that feel like they're in this California bubble. I don't know if that's the writing or if that's just intentional if that California, how they want to portray California, but it seems so different from reality, and I guess that's why people like Gritty versus this. Another show that felt like this to me was Californication.
It's called California. Like
No, I know, but
that's the David Duchovny show.
David Duchovny, where he's a sex addict.
Okay.
And I stuck around with that a little longer because he's a sex addict, so he was hooking up with a hot girl every episode.
Never saw it,
but again, it's this weird kind of I don't know if it's the term yuppie, or it's like upper middle class white people problems that
so bear in mind,
that aren't even problems. You know what I mean?
So Californication was also a show that was created on Showtime, right?
Well, I'm thinking Cobra Kai now when I make that description, but it's this.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So that's. I know you well enough at this point.
I guess maybe the I will say this. Maybe because I didn't watch Karate Kid
That's
like religiously as a kid. Like I watched it, but it wasn't like I rewatched it. It was a big part. So the nostalgia factor isn't there for me as much. I get it, but for whatever reason, I will suspend my disbelief so many different ways, but I was already wincing with. I was like, I have a hard time
just because of.
It was not the fight scene. The fight scene is whatever. I'll get him kick, do that. And I actually like the way it started, where they showed the movie again.
Yeah.
And they panned to another shot of him going face down, and then he's his current state. Like I got that, but the whole him interacting with in the car dealership, and it just felt so contrived, and so it just was weird, man.
I would say give it a little more time. Give it a little more time.
I also think like first seasons are always kind of a mixed bag. Like if you watch the first season of The Office, everyone loves The Office. You've probably never seen The Office.
Never seen it.
Yeah, but that's what a lot of people like The Office. They all admit the first season is absolute dog shit.
And because they didn't find their own voice yet?
And then the characters were a lot different, and then they made the tweaks, and then suddenly, boom, they had it figured out.
That's interesting too, because like from my understanding, having not seen either the British or the American Office, that like season 1 of The Office was Americans trying to copy the British, right? Like, and in particular, is there that big of a difference culturally within like a corporate setting where?
Well, in particular, like Steve Carell's character was a total dick in season 1, and then he became a doofus in the next seasons that gave him lovable charm.
So
where in his own way he could be like lovable to people, even though he was acting like a dick and an ogre, but it was in a way that was lovable, like
endearing.
That at the end of the episode, it was almost like an episode of The Simpsons, where the Simpsons, and I know Simpsons are an old show now, but the Simpsons go through a whole bunch of things, but then there's like a nice little like closing kind of thing,
like the Brady Bunch dad moment.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wonder, like, just going back to the Cobra Kai. The Cobra Kai. I'm such an old man. Like adding the to things. But like, since you're a martial arts nerd now. Like you're a martial arts nerd like within the past 3 years at this point. Maybe
but very contemporary.
Exactly.
Because
right?
I look at the karate, I'm like,
no, and it's garbage. But you didn't also like, you're not like Jovan and me, where we grew up watching. I mean, we were hugging each other when he mentioned Michael Dudikoff and American Ninja, right?
Michael Dudikoff.
And there's just like this litany of just garbage martial arts B movies that were on the wall. It would be the equivalent of
directed by fat Jewish guys, or produced by.
That would be the equivalent of basically straight to Redbox, I guess now.
Yeah, right. Straight to directed video.
Because there's like the 4 bottom rows of Redbox at the store where you're like,
it's like B movies. Yeah,
Jiu-Jitsu, Nicolas Cage movie. I saw that and I was like, ooh, perhaps I will get this. But there's a whole generation of those direct to VHS martial arts movies that all of us nerds grew up watching, and I'm almost betting you didn't watch any of those.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? And Karate Kid
was like the mainstream breakout
is the
of
sort
that.
of like that's the iconic one, right? So like I wonder if like the nostalgia doesn't hit you especially there, right? Like because you don't strike me as, you know, we all kind of have our stories and stuff, and everybody at the end of the day, when you're a teenager, everybody feels bullied at some point. Even the little popular kids, like, you know, we see enough of that now where everybody's got their like self-esteem issues and that sort of stuff. But like, what does that look like?
Victor joined the audience. I just kind of looked over at him. About the film.
But we but the whole like we all basically kind of start martial arts, especially just my generation especially, because like we were either bullied or we want to be tougher, you know.
So there were two, in my opinion. There were two things, and this can go back even to the 50s, but I think even when we were growing up, because we're basically the same age, it was either bodybuilding or martial arts.
Okay, all right,
right,
that's fair.
because you had the shrimpy kid was on the beach, and you had
like
the athletic
Charles
guy,
Atlas,
and then they worked out and they got strong and they felt better. And I think for me, my outlet as a kid was when I was like 13 or 14. I started doing push-ups and sit-ups.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah.
So I think that was my outlet for that. I was like,
what was your
wanting to be cool or whatever, you know?
What was your So like you didn't have like the Bruce Lee poster on your
no.
You had an Arnold.
I had the Arnold Encyclopedia Bodybuilding.
Yeah, that's still very good. Did you see his message, by the way? Like,
I did.
It was very
with the Conan sword.
How do you think he wrote that? He's a very articulate person, man. Like I gotta say,
you know what's funny is he's not like when he was the governor of California. His English had a thicker accent, so it was more comedic. California, you know.
Well, I mean, I think he's playing the character more then too, right? Or
when he was in office, you think he was playing the?
I think so.
I mean, when he gave that statement, I was like, yeah, that's Arnold's accent. It sounds like Arnold, but it was he was articulating a little. You know, he was.
He was definitely teleprompting.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. But so you had the encyclopedia, but then that was your jam, right? Mm-hmm. I had Joe Weider's first because that was a cheaper book that I was buying from Borders for 40% off.
Actually, the first book was a thin book that was like in a bargain bin for like $2 or $3.
Really, it was.
That was
like Nautilus
like
Principles or something.
No, that was like a very like basic biography of his or
Educational Bodybuilder.
Probably, yeah. It was like a thin book.
Yeah. Him on the front wearing a red tank top.
Yeah,
I still have that. It's it's an autobiography. Yeah,
it's a story with some workout stuff at the end, and I thought that was cool. You know, he talked about. I think he was like lifting in Austria and drinking beer afterwards.
Yeah, with a bunch of like old dudes.
And then he was and there was that American bodybuilder that he was it Steve
Reeves.
Steve Reeves. That was like his hero and all that.
Yeah.
And then
but then Reg
later,
Park became his hero because Steve Reeves was beautiful, but Reg Park, one of the originals of the 5x5 system.
Oh, there we go.
Had the brute strength, the true visage of Hercules.
So I graduated beyond that. Once I started getting into like bodybuilding, then I got the encyclopedia.
What was the highest weight you ever got to? Like just lifting, like just as big as you got?
I mean, I don't think I've been 183 once, but that was way later. Was
that when you were doing the bench press competition?
Yeah, that was that. But actually, I weighed in at that at 179, I think.
Oh wow!
But no, the bodybuilding was just. I mean, it did give me. Occasionally, you would have some mild body dysmorphia, because if you're looking at in the encyclopedia, you know, bodybuilding every day,
it's Arnold,
and it's Arnold, and then you see Dorian Yates and Ronnie Coleman, all these guys that. You know, it messes with you a little bit, and then you're like, anybody's small next to those guys.
Oh, sure.
You know, everybody.
And until you actually see one in real life, then you're like, oh my God. Like,
but for me, it was just more like getting exercises and protocols. But even then, it was very primitive, and I wish I knew what I knew now. I wish I had approached it with what I know now, with some more thought about actual objectives and understanding that. Because as a kid, I wanted to believe that the muscular fatigue, the muscular physique, the superhero physique, is also the peak athlete physique, and
which is not the case.
And I learned that later in life.
Right.
And then it's a matter of what are your goals, and then how can you achieve those goals with the right protocol, understanding that you can only specialize. You'll get general strength in everything.
Sure.
Whether you bodybuild, power lift, anything, you're going to get your basic strength's going to go up, but it needs to be what you're specializing in. And also, longevity is always something that as a younger person you never think about. And now I'm thinking about, like, I only want to do so many reps and volume a day, make the best use of it, you know?
Oh, wow. You go that far.
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
I mean,
very thoughtful.
It's in the thought.
Okay. All right.
Am I
executing
it's something
it
in my way, but it's in my awareness, you know? But
do you track your workouts?
Now I do on my phone. I love it.
Do you really?
I just write it down. So I
you don't
like
have
to
an
put
app?
it into no, I don't have an app. I just literally a note.
Okay.
Every day I just type in
what you did that day,
and it's all driven by the 5-3-1, and that's awesome because if I do that 4 days a week, I've got my linear progression that varies every mesocycle, you know. But I'm linearly progressing at the end of that mesocycle.
In your mesocycle right now. I saw that, didn't you? Right?
Yeah, I've just started a new mesocycle.
Started, right?
So we're, you know, adding 5-10 pounds to each lift, and there's this guy Bromley that I see on YouTube that maybe people think he's an asshole, maybe I don't know. You know, he seems like he's reasonable. He's a power lifter, and he talks about give yourself the longest runway possible. Think about it as I like to use the analogy of driving. Strength is driving through mud, where it's like the more momentum you can get, the better off you're going to be once you get into the mud. Meaning, if you're trying to hit a certain number on a lift, try and give yourself the longest runway, because if you start to increase your progression too
really
much,
good analogy.
You're going to really start
steep drop,
you're
right?
going to really start struggling. So he's like, even if you feel like you could do more, you want to get those reps in. And that's the other thing, is understanding that you don't have to be putting in 100% maximal effort. Not effort, because I know that's perceived effort thing.
The RPE.
I'm talking about if you have a 1 rep max, you know, at most hit 80%, you know, on a given day, you know. So put in the reps, because like you said all the time, as you like to say, strength is a skill. And getting everything to fire at the same time and training your
neuromuscular is a big thing.
It's huge. So
Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding.
That's at my parents' house in a box. I kept that thing pristine, you know.
You still have it?
I still have it, yeah.
Nice. Just as I still have Joe Weider's book and the Education of Bodybuilding.
And I would love to go back, knowing what I know now, and go back and see, because what Arnold was doing was, I mean, he was doing kind of a bro split, you know, and working out twice a day.
Yeah, I mean, when that's your full-time job, you can do that, right? But so obviously, like, interestingly, Karate Kid wasn't my bullying thing. Like, it was just.
Were you actually bullied as a kid?
I really don't. I guess, I don't know. Like, I guess maybe I was always in gifted classes, so we were a whole group of like 200 nerds anyway. So like we were probably just like bullied as a monolith, and I mean,
I think bullying isn't. I mean, you don't have to actually be bullied. Like in my case, I wasn't bullied ever. Not that I can remember. I certainly wasn't traumatized, because I would have remembered it, you know.
Yeah. Like
I remember getting into an altercation at a playground once as a kid.
Did you? Do you remember him?
No, I don't even know who the guy was, but he kind of confronted me, and then I just punched him in the stomach and ran away.
You punched him in the stomach?
I punched him in the stomach. I remember my dad.
Non-striker?
My dad
Noah?
told me, he's like, if you punch someone, always punch him in the stomach, because it's soft. You'll hurt your hand if you punch. That was his advice. Punch him where it's soft, then you won't hurt your hand. Literally.
That's interesting. I mean, and a lot of people probably don't know to. Probably people don't know to tense up their stomach too. And like, I mean,
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I punched him in the stomach. The guy wasn't expecting. He was,
and you ran away.
I just ran away.
He didn't chase you down.
Combative. Like, make space, guys.
I can't say I've ever been in an altercation.
I think there's that thing as a kid though, where just like, I mean, for guys, it's being an alpha male.
Yeah.
And one way to be an alpha male is be a martial artist. Mm-hmm. Another way is to
strong.
Have be strong. I mean, I know this is totally off topic and it's not necessarily my wheelhouse, but I fucking totally sympathize with women because what was the thing we were getting in the 90s? I don't know what they're getting, you know, what the stereotypes that are being pushed on, you know, young women now. But at my time was like, you know,
like Barbie.
Yeah, be a petite, like it was so image based. Like, you know, this is why I knew girls that were bulimic and had eating disorders.
Oh, sure. Like, I mean,
you know, because I'm not saying the body dysmorphia being pushed on us as kids was healthy, but it was healthier than what girls were getting pushed in my opinion,
because girls aren't. They're
opinion.
not like don't be like Ronda Rousey. You know, like they didn't have like a Ronda Rousey or a Wonder Woman or Captain Marvel.
And
you know.
girls were even like the body image was even thinner in the 90s.
Hell yeah, because it wasn't like it was like the Kate Moss, like
exactly,
just, you know,
super skinny.
Yeah, like that. Just looking at that scooter there, like it's like that, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
man. We are going all over the.
You know, like
a typical day on the mats.
It's you know.
Okay, so this is my question because we've got to get ready for class. You got to get ready for Muay Thai.
I gotta wrap my hands.
We've got, let's say, 5 minutes.
5 minutes. So yeah.
So
it'll take me about 3 minutes to wrap my hands.
I was very fascinated because I'm a big Batman guy, and I caught wind of 3 Jokers.
Okay.
Is it worth reading? Because I saw they dropped the first, so it was this big mystery, right? There are 3 Jokers.
Because they dropped. So do you know the origin of how they dropped the mystery? In DC Rebirth, which was one of the major relaunches about 5-6 years ago, after it was basically DC.
That was the whole thing with Flashpoint, right?
No, that's New 52.
Oh.
So New 52 people fucking hated it because it's basically the.
So then they reset it again.
They reset it again, but like a soft reset.
And this is what brought the Watchmen guy, like Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan. Yeah.
So Rebirth. Oh, is he the one that's responsible for it?
No.
No. Okay.
I mean, I will say he stole 10 years of time from everybody.
Okay.
So,
all right. But anyway, he's in the DC,
Rebirth where Batman's starting to uncover things. At one point, the idea. Oh no! When Batman, no, I'm nerding out. When Batman hops on the Mobius chair, which is
is
Metron's.
I'm aware of that. I was aware of that as that's what kicked off the story arc.
Yeah, and
he saw
and he asked his question of like, who's the Joker?
Yeah,
and he saw 3, and it's like the 3 sort of like iconic.
Yeah, it's like
Jokers.
The criminal, the madman.
That came later on, like
Okay.
that sort of like, but it's a very typical like when you think of 60s, like Joker, haha, like big, like Cesar Romero, like acid in the flower, like jokester type of. He didn't really differentiate that much from the Riddler, to be honest, at that point. And then there's like this sort of like Alan Moore,
the Alan Moore,
like
Killing Joke,
the Killing Joke one, and then there's the most recent one where he's.
Like Dark Knight.
I think Scott
Anarchist.
Snyder really did the best with his run. Actually, from leading up to New 52, when he
is this the one where he took his face off? That one?
Yeah, a little bit, but like, yeah, where he's more like beyond like a criminal mastermind. He's almost like a force of nature.
Okay, yeah.
And that's like the other one. And so like those are the 3 images that pop up. And so, Jeff Johns addresses that in 3 Jokers.
Interesting.
And it's my biggest thing about it is like Jeff Johns.
It sounds like there was a big setup, but it was hard to pull off an explanation that would be satisfying for such a massive kind of.
I always think back to an interview I heard from Grant Morrison, who's my favorite writer, and it was at like some DC fandom type of thing before DC fandom existed. And it was when Morrison at the time was writing Batman, and some fucking dude asked him a question. He's like, so how do we, rectify the ages of Nightwing and Tim Drake and Jason Todd and Batman's supposed to be so? Isn't
you're doing the comic book guy?
Yeah, exactly, right. And Grant Morrison just looked at him and he goes, "They're not real people."
Like, and the entire audience just shed a tear.
He's like, they're not real people. He's like, why do we? He's like, what's wrong with just
they're not
letting
real.
it be, right? And he's like, why do we think that like children are stupid, but children aren't the stupid ones. Like adults are the stupid ones, right? Like when a child watches The Little Mermaid, They know when they go out into nature, they aren't fucking singing and talking crabs. They just know that's a fucking crab.
Under the sea.
Right? Like they know that that's a cartoon. Like, why do we as adults have to impose all this like continuity bullshit that hinders like good storytelling? Like, why do we have to make it fit in our world?
Because we're sad and disenchanted with our lives, and we need
like
escapism.
he's like, why can't I just tell my story, right? So Jeff Johns has this very good skill of reconciling a lot of that stuff, and he did very well with Green Lantern Rebirth. He did it really well with Flash Rebirth. He's amazing with Superman. Sometimes things just don't need to be explained. Like Joker, we don't need an origin for the Joker. We didn't just like with Joe Quesada, we didn't need an origin for fucking Wolverine in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Well, I don't want to spoil things too much, but I mean, at the end, doesn't Batman come out and say, like, I actually knew Joker's name all along?
So did you read a spoiler for this?
I glanced over the Wikipedia thing.
Yeah.
I just glanced over it, but honestly...
So spoiler alert, everybody.
No, glancing over the Wikipedia didn't explain it much to me. So that's why I'm like, is it worth reading?
I mean, if it's only 3 issues.
It's really only that short?
It's one for each Joker.
And how many episodes, like how many pages?
26 page.
Oh, so it's not even, I was thinking it was like Kingdom Come thick.
Yeah. It's 3 issues, so it's 100-something pages.
Oh, so that's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's like 3 graphic.
Right, so maybe I'll go track that down and then...
I can just let you borrow it.
Oh, you actually have all 3 issues? Or did you just...
I bought the graphic novel.
Oh, they already released the graphic novel?
Yeah, I bought the collector edition.
Okay.
So I read that during my snippy resting.
All right, bring that in next time. I'll read that.
Yeah, I'll bring it in.
Thank you. All right. Well, dude, you got Muay Thai.
And you got Foundations.
We'll talk about that more...
more jiu-jitsu next time.
We'll talk about Foundations because that's kind of an interesting story because we're starting to see progression. Some people have graduated out of that program.
Oh, are you? Okay.
And we can there's some early observations that can be made about.
And I had 2 brand new students in my 6 a.m. class this morning, which I sort of used the Foundation template. And
did side control escapes?
Top control bottom,
and then on
or top control side control top.
And then side control bottom we'll do
I will address on, because I think it's a good way to give people a good look of both. So.
Absolutely. All right, well, dude, 61 is in the books. Next week we'll have 62. And let's get ready for the
next
mats.
time, like, subscribe, share.